Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna show you how to remove your rear brake calipers here on the 2014 BRZ FRS grade 6. Now before that, you're gonna want to put a little stick there to put pressure on the brake. Once you do that, you're gonna go ahead, grab a 12mm ratchet or a socket with the ratchet, and the line right here, there's gonna be a bolt right there that holds the brake line. Just take that off. Once you take that off, you'll be able to remove this 14mm doohickey bolt. But you can do that, remove these two, which takes off this front panel. But what I like to do is just take off the whole assembly. So you just gotta take off these bolts. There's one down here, one down on the other side. Two 14mm bolts again. Take those off and your whole assembly will come off. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. Very important when you're doing this, make sure you cover up everything, because if you have paint or something that you want to take care of, this brake fluid will eat up all the paint. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover that. And right now nothing's coming out, or maybe not as much because I covered up the I'm applying pressure to the actual brakes. So I'm just gonna go ahead, tuck this somewhere, get it out of my way. Just gonna tuck it up here. All right, now we're gonna take off these bolts here, the main bolts. One down on the other side, like I said, 14mm. And these are a bitch. So once you take these off, I'll come back to you. All right, bolts are removed. That is a brake line bolt. These are the actual caliper bolts. Now, since it's a tight squeeze, I use a short socket here. And there's not much room in there, so you won't have good leverage. So quick tip, grab yourself a wrench. Stick it in like this so you can get more leverage. Put it in the right way. Stick it in like this so you get more leverage. That's the little tricks I use here. Once you take off those two main bolts, let's see if I can just start it dropping. You can just shimmy this out and boom, there's your brake. So what's next? I'm going to show you how to take everything apart so you can get it ready for paint. So let's put everything away here that you don't need anymore, and let's go back. All right, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take off these bolts right here. What that does, it separates. Well, first I want to drain out all this extra brake line fluid. All right, and what that does, these bolts, is makes it so you can remove the I don't know what that part's called, the outer housing there, so you can remove your brakes. So we're gonna do that right now, and more than likely these are gonna be tough, so grab yourself somewhere you can put it secure so you can take it apart. And if I recall, it's a 12mm bolt. Let me just check here. It is not. All right, and these two are 14mm bolts. So gonna set it up and I'll be back. Bolts loose, so let's take those apart. Make sure to separate all your bolts, guys. You don't want to put the wrong bolt on the wrong section. As you can see, the line bolt has holes right here, so the fluid can actually run through. So yeah, make sure you don't mess those up. All right, take off those bolts. As you can see, the whole housing comes off. And right now, we're basically done on this section. Going on to this one, your brakes here, just push them out. These are pretty simple. Inspect your brakes. Mine have good life on them, a little bit dirty, so I'll just clean those up a bit afterwards. Put these somewhere safe. Put these over here. Same thing on this one. Now, one thing I'm gonna show you right here is you see all the, oops, sorry. If you see all these, I don't know what they're called, just little metal plates. Make sure you don't lose those. Don't take them off if you don't have to. These brakes are good, so I'm not gonna mess with them. Take off these metal housings that put on the brake. Just shimmy them out. Up, down, boom. And you don't have to worry about where they go because they only go one way. As you can see, the little curved surface goes on top of the brake here. If you put it backwards, it's gonna be sticking out, so you know that's wrong. So don't worry too much about all that. Again, up, down, take it out. And that's how you get it ready for paint. Now, obviously you're gonna clean it up, which I'm gonna do right now. You're gonna cover up these with painter's tape, clean them up with I use brake cleaner and clean these up, cover up all the holes. And this one, cover up the line right here. You can take off this dimple or you can leave it. I'm gonna tape it up, tip up all these, tip up all the holes. Now don't worry too much about getting paint in here because like I said before, the freaking brake fluid eats up all the paint. So even if it does get in there, it's gonna burn off. So I'm gonna dry these off, put them again on my doohickey here, I forgot what it's called, and show you what I do to clean them up. It's not gonna go anywhere. I use an angle grinder with the steel wool. I don't know what these are called, I forget. Just gonna grind it off, and I'm gonna be very careful. Try not to hit that. That's your where you bleed your lines from. So get all around, and then I'm gonna show you how I get the piston. I'll just show you right now, actually. What am I saying? So the piston there, that's where you're gonna get most of your rust. Let me see here. I'm gonna use one of these. Shove it in there and try to get it all out. If you can't, use the heaviest grit sandpaper you can use and just sand it all around. That's what I did with my first ones because I didn't have one of these. So just get your heaviest grit, sand it all around. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not gonna be painting that, but this is just for safety and maintenance. So once you get that all sanded, work on the rest, keep sanding everything. Be mindful of all the little sensitive parts. You don't want to be grinding these little spongy grooves here. So, just keep in mind. So I'm gonna sand this or grind it, whatever. I'm not actually gonna grind it. I'm just gonna take off all the paint here so I can get a fresh coat of paint. So I'll get that done and I'll be back. All right, got them all cleaned up. The inside, it's never gonna be perfect. Or at least for me, I can't get it all clean, but a lot better than what it was. Careful with the boots. But once you have them all like that, you're done. Just clean them up. Like I said, I'm gonna use a brake cleaner, so I'm gonna clean those up. Tape up the boots, all the entrances. I mean, these bolts don't really matter, but I'm still gonna do it. And I'm gonna take off the other brakes. Once I do that, I'll get them ready to paint. And yep, see you then. All right, so I finished putting the tape on. As you can see, it's just on the parts that had the little boots, the bolts right there. I don't really care for that because I can just screw on the bolt and all the paint will chip, so that part's not that important. On the actual piston, I covered up the whole thing. As you can see, it doesn't look professional because I don't really care for this. I'm gonna make sure there's no cracks later, but I don't really care for it because this whole part is gonna be behind the rotor. So when you clamp it on, the rotor is gonna be covering it up right here. So that's how you're gonna see this part and the other part on top of it. But I still taped that up, taped up the where the brake line goes. Again, this is gonna be behind the wheel, and then I just taped up the little bleeder knob, and again the little bolts, I left them. And I'm gonna do that for the other one, and then I'll show you how to paint them. All right, so we're here again. Got my parts, got my brake cleaner, towels to dry it off. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna spray this down real quick. Not much, just to get off all the all the nasty stuff. No, a good old-fashioned brake cleaner. You can use anything that dries fast and cleans. Lacquer thinner dries pretty quick. It's good. All right, to paint, you're gonna want high resistant primer. This is what I use. You're gonna want 3 coats. Some VHT, I'm guessing stands for very high temperature or something. Whatever color you want. I'm using red because, you know, red makes you get like, way more horsepower. And then a clear gloss, VHT again. So you're gonna want 3 coats of this. Your first coat is just a tack coat, just a little quick shh. Wait 10 minutes, put in a second heavy coat, and then the third time, wait another 10 minutes and put in your third heavy coat. Make sure everything's all primed up. Once you put the last coat, just to keep in reference, the proper way to paint is to put your 3 coats of primer, and you want to let it set overnight. And then you put your 3 coats of paint and let that set overnight. And then the clear gloss, put your 3 coats and let that set overnight. The reason I didn't do that is because I didn't have the time frame to actually wait that long until my brakes were completely dry. So I had to do it all in a single day. Shake up your can. Now, to paint these, you want to be careful how you set them down, because the last coat, or the part that you're gonna show, which is down here, so it's just gonna go on the front, right? So what I like to do is paint the outside, and I do 3 coats of that. Once that's good, I like to stand it up and do my 3 coats. That way this part isn't touching anything. That way there's no chance of this like getting stuck to the paper or something. If you can hang this, like if you can hang it right here with a string and something, that'd be better. But you know, for me, since I put it on the ground, that's what I do. These are a lot more simple. Since this is the part that's gonna go up front, I can just, you know, lean this like that and paint that. So for now, I'm gonna have this all sitting down so I can put in its first coat. So I'm gonna do that and I'll get back to you. Brakes are good to go. This is the next day. I let them rest overnight so they can get fully dried up. And once you peel the tape, I know this looks pretty bad, but the rotor is going to be right here covering it up. So you're not going to be able to see any of this part. All that's going to be showing is like this half and like this half. So that's why I'm not worried about how it looks back there. And to put it back together, these are all the brackets that hold the brakes, and as you can see, they all look the same, so you don't have to worry about, you know, putting the wrong piece. On the front ones, they're a bit different. I'm not going to show you those because I already did them, but basically one's going to have like little extra slots sticking out, and it's not going to be able to fit in flush, so that's how you'll know. So that one's pretty simple. So to put them back again, same thing as before, you just slot them back in. That's one. And that's two. Now put one of the bolts back in, and then put the brakes. I'm gonna do that real quick because I need both hands. And again, this is only gonna go one way. If you try to do it backwards, it's not gonna be able to go into the bolts. So, I mean, you can't really mess this up. Whereas it's like this, it's flush. So that's how you know. And I'm just gonna put one so I can shove it out. All right, so I have one bolt in. These bolts right here, you're gonna torque down to 20 foot-pounds. And if you don't have a torque wrench, just snug, but not, or a little bit more than snug. So we're gonna grab one of our brakes here. And again, you can't mess this up. It only goes in one way. So if you try to put it like this, it goes in because that's the right way. Oops, sorry. If it goes in like this, it's right. Try to put it the other way, it won't fit. It literally won't fit. So that's how you know. And again, check your brake pads, make sure you have good what's it called? Good amount of brakes on there. And again, other side. Won't fit if it's backwards. Flip it around. Fits perfect. Whoops. Oh, you get the idea. Okay, so right here, this piston right here, you're gonna want to make sure you put that piston back in. Otherwise, when you install everything and bleed the brakes, you will have an air bubble, which will make your brakes not work. And one way you can tighten that is just put this piece right here and just tighten it. You can also get channel locks, or sometimes even by hand you can do it. I did these by hand, a little muscle in them, but I mean, you can do it. They're pretty simple, but just make sure that piston's all the way back. Together again. That's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah. The little pin right there, that pin, that's on the back side of the rotor. This is the, what side is this here? This is the left side brakes. So that's where that pin's supposed to go. And again, these bolts are 20 foot-pounds, and these bolts right here are gonna be 59 foot-pounds, I believe. And yeah, just gonna do the same thing to this other brake. Put it all together, put them on the car, touch the lines, and then bleed the brakes. So, gonna work on the other one, and then we'll go to the car. Alright, so got the car here. This is the driver's side rear brake. And these things are only going to go in one way. So they're always going to go in like this. If you grab the other one, it just won't fit. And as you can see, this says L. Left driver, I guess. So you're going to just slide that in between. Put in your two bolts right here. And torque them down to 59 foot-pounds. And yeah, let me just do that real quick. Alright, so I have my torque wrench here set at 20 foot-pounds. You can't see it, but trust me, 20 foot-pounds, and we're going to torque down the ones that have the little boots on them. So these are going to be 20 foot-pounds. Alright, now I have it set at 59 foot-pounds, or close to it. And then we're going to tighten down the actual ones that lock it down, or hold it down, I'm sorry. And space is going to be limited, so work with what you have. And yeah, tighten those down to 59 foot-pounds, these 20 foot-pounds, and it should be good. Alright, brakes on there, torque down. Always double check you have it torqued down to the right setting, as in once you click both, go back up and do it again. So once you get that done, you grab your line again, and make sure that again you have the right bolts, the ones with the holes here, and make sure that your line here has its appropriate washers. As you can see, this one's sticking out. I'll show you on the other side what it looks like without the washers, because these are actually sealing washers. If you don't have these, you will be leaking brake fluid. So it's very important. That little as you can see, this has a little extension hose right there. Just align that into the other little small hole in the back of the brake, and then put your bolt in. Brake is set, torqued it down, and as you can see, this line, you can tell the washer's up here but not one down here, and that's because it came off with my bolt, so make sure not to lose those. So same thing. I'm gonna need 2 hands, but yeah, just put in your bolt in there and tighten it down, and yeah. Whenever you gonna put new bolts on, or yeah, put the bolts back on, don't use the old washers, because these are crusher washers, and if you use the same ones, there is a chance of a leak. So, you know, go to Toyota, invest the money. They're, depending on your area, $97 to $1.50, but the reason you want to use these is because if they get crushed, basically once you tighten down the bolt, this will get thinner, and when you try to retorque it back on, it can be marked, which basically means, like I said, it could get slimmer, which can get you a little leak. So invest the money, get new washers, save your life. All right, now I'm going to show you how to bleed your brakes. So things you're going to need is brake fluid, .4 or .5.1. Google it, because it all depends on what you want. Heat is mainly the main factor what changes it, so I use .4 because it's cheap. And you're gonna want this kit. This is from AutoZone. I got it for $10 or something, yeah, around $10. Mine's all dirty because, you know, I've used it. You don't have to buy this kit. You can just get like a bottle or something, and you got to make sure you got a little hose that'll fit your bleeder. Now you're gonna want to do this when your tires are out, because it's a lot easier. My tires are in because reasons, but the way you're gonna want to do it is you're gonna want to start from the passenger rear, go over to the driver rear, come over to the passenger front, and go over to the passenger, or the driver front, sorry. And make sure you, before you start this, you fill up your brake fluid all the way to max, because you gotta have brake fluid in there, pretty simple. And then I'm gonna show you how to actually do it. You can do this alone. It's a lot easier with 2 people, but I'm gonna get started on that, and then I'm gonna show you how to do it. All right, so to bleed the brakes, I'm showing you this one, and I'm not going to show you the other ones because I can't record those as good. So this is the brake. You're going to see this little dimple here. Just take that off. Please don't lose that. It's very important. Yeah, if I can get it out. All right, it just comes out. It's just a little rubber gummy. You know, set that aside. Now, that is a 10mm bolt you're going to use. And with your kit, grab your hose, or if you bought the kit, go ahead and put the hose on the little nipple there. Make sure it's on good. And then grab your bottle and make sure to put it somewhere higher than the actual brake. It doesn't have to be, you know, this high up, how I have it over here tucked away. It doesn't have to be this high, but just make sure it's above the actual caliper. Now with your 10mm bolt, come over here and do a 1/4 turn. There you go. Make sure it's loose. Then go to your pedals and pump it 6 times. So it's, yes, I'm using sandals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason you want to do 6 because if you do more, you have a chance of over spilling. And if that happens, if you overfill this bottle, it'll just eject out of this hole right there. It'll just squirt out. So now what you're looking for is you're gonna look at the line. Make sure there's no bubbles, no big air pockets. Make sure it's all solid liquid like that. Once it looks nice and good, tighten it back up. And if there is bubbles, you can dump all that liquid and do it again if you don't feel confident. And then just tighten it back up, just snug. It doesn't have to be tight because I'm accidentally stripped one of them right now. And what I do is I just pinch this, that way the liquid doesn't come out and it goes back in the bottle. Sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand. Now what I do is, since all this is brand new liquid, I'm just gonna put that back on, that way it's still full. And while you're doing this, you're gonna make sure you have liquid, or yeah, your brake fluid. Make sure you're good on that because it will drain. So I'm just gonna put that back on. And while doing this, if you want to clear out your entire reservoir, you can just take off one of the lines, one of the brake lines, and just keep pumping your brakes until this is all empty. It'll just keep squirting out, and you can just do that to clean your reservoir. So I'm gonna put it back on, finish the last one, and that'll be it. And the reason you want to bleed your brakes is because if you don't do this, you will not have brakes. That's simple. By taking out the line and putting it back in like we did, you're leaving those air bubbles I'm talking about, like in the lines. And if that happens, when you go and press the brake, it'll feel soft, like just you'll have no brakes whatsoever. So you got to make sure you do this. If you're not comfortable, get some help, hire a professional, but make sure you do this part. All right, so I'm gonna bleed this one and that'll be it. And like I said, it's gonna be passenger rear, driver rear, passenger front, and passenger front and driver front. That's how you want to do it, the farthest away from the main cylinder. And that's your main cylinder right there. So this is the last one. I'm gonna finish this one up and be good. So once you're done with all 4, top off your reservoir, make sure you're in good between min and max. I have mine closer to max. And then go take your car out for a test drive, make sure everything's good. If you feel anything at all, I would recommend just do it again. Rather be safe than sorry. So do that. Once it's good, you're good to go. And that's how you paint your brakes. Yep.